I have to ask, how did you get started restoring vintage RVs?
Oh, that's a great story. Doreen will tell it.
It has running water, it has an ice box, it has a complete bathroom with a bucket for a toilet, a playroom that looks like a vintage travel trailer on the inside.
We've seen quite a few in museums. We feel ours is the most complete original trailer. This is our main camping trailer, and it has all the features of modern camping. We have central air that is ducted. It's in the bottom of this unit here, and the air exchange outside under the floor.
How's that compare to what we see in the road today?
They're pretty much the same. Whatever length trailer, it's pound per foot, and it's very similar.
We are in Bob and Doreen's basement in their home in Clarkston, Michigan. But how would we describe this, Jennifer? It looks like a museum.
It does. It kind of reminds me of the museum that we just saw in Elkhart.
Yeah, the RV Hall of Fame.
Vintage RVs and all the vintage pieces that are in RVs.
And I think our best thing is just to bring Bob and Doreen on right now, and we'll have them describe it as we show it. And we're going to learn all about restoring vintage RVs. Well, Bob and Doreen, thank you for inviting us to your home.
More than welcome.
We so enjoyed meeting you in Elkhart and seeing that home RV, that old home coach that you restored. That was just the house car, I guess we call it.
Yes.
It was awesome. But your basement is even more awesome.
Thank you.
Why don't you start, Doreen, by showing us what's behind you? Tell us what that is. This is a wall, I should point out, with a little tiny door. It looks like a trailer.
And it's for the grandkids, it's a playroom. And it's the stairs that come down. It was wasted space, so it became a playroom that looks like a vintage travel trailer on the inside.
Now, I see a sign on this that says the Covered Wagon. What is that? What's that from?
The Covered Wagon Factory. We also have a Covered Wagon trailer, which this came before the Covered Wagon trailer. Bob's grandfather worked at the Covered Wagon Factory.
Yes.
Tell me about the Covered Wagon. Is that an RV brand from when?
Yes, it is noted as the first production RV camper, and it was the largest manufacturer before World War II.
This is a 1938 Covered Wagon, completely original. We're only the second family to own it.
Wow. And where did you find that?
It found us when we were at a trailer show. Someone came up and said, we have an old trailer that we think you might be interested in, and you'll probably preserve it. And then they found out Bob's grandfather worked for the Covered Wagon Factory, and we ended up purchasing the trailer.
And we would keep it in the basement, and they were quite happy to hear that. We've seen quite a few in museums. We feel ours is the most complete original trailer. The awnings are original to the trailer.
Oh my goodness. What amazes me is this is 1938, and it has everything that an RV today has, and maybe with a little better quality.
Better quality, absolutely. When we first got the trailer about 10 years ago, I was so stunned at the level of workmanship that we decided we needed to up ours when we restored trailers, just to attempt to meet this. And they did the whole interior by hand, little hand saws. Didn't have many power tools. And you look in there and the fit is just incredible.
Well, it's originally for 4 people. It has a full gas stove with an oven. It has a wood-burning stove, which seems a little interesting. Yeah, it's very dangerous when you're in a wooden box. It has running water. It has an ice box. It has a complete bathroom with a bucket for a toilet.
This is the bed that comes down that 2 people are supposed to sleep on. I think one today would sleep on it. And this is the couch that you pull out to make the sleeping arrangements for 2 other people. And look at this table, how it folds up.
You have a family connection back years ago to this factory that made these.
Yes, my grandfather was a foreman in the factory in the mid-30s, and he would liberate sheets of plywood and take them home. And he had 5 sons, and they collected enough plywood to make a sailboat. They made a sailboat, they sailed it, and it promptly fell apart because the plywood in those days didn't have waterproof glue.
Kind of the one piece at a time in the auto factory.
Yes.
But karma with the waterproof.
That's right.
glue.
That's right.
That's a great
But
family story.
the boys had fun, I'm sure, making the sailboat.
And look at the fun you've had in telling that story.
Yes. Yes.
So what did this sell for new?
According to the brochure, the base model was $435. I could only guess that maybe this model was maybe $500.
$500.
Yes, yes.
Wow. So that's a covered wagon. Now this looks like a different make. What is this one?
This is a 1949 19-foot Vagabond made in New Hudson, Michigan. And we've completely restored the trailer. One of the patents of this particular model is they have a sliding screen door.
This is the nicest screen door I have ever seen on an RV. This is the Achilles heel of most RVs. This is a wooden frame screen door. Look at how well it slides. Now why can they do that in, what year was this?
1949.
They did this in 1949, but they can't seem to make this work in 2022.
I love the flamingo at the bottom.
A lot of vintage trailers.
Oh, yeah,
they
look at that.
Painted the screens.
Yeah.
And they're
Oh, I
very,
don't know if it'll, yeah, there it shows. See that? Now, as I understand, Bob, you actually have camped in this thing.
This is our main camping trailer, and it has all the features of modern camping. We have central air that is ducted in the front, and there's a duct that goes all the way to the back. It's in the bottom of this unit here, and the air exchange outside under the floor.
Wow. You know, all this wood makes me wonder about the weight of these older trailers. How's that compare to what we see in the road today?
They're pretty much the same. Whatever length trailer, it's pound per foot, and it's very similar.
Really?
Very similar, probably within a couple 100 pounds of the total unit.
And all of this that I see, except obviously the air conditioner and the fantastic fan up in the ceiling,
Yes.
all of this is original.
Pretty much, yes, yes. The plywood walls are all original to the trailer. They had to be restored, but...
Beautiful. Bob, what is this? Right in the
this
middle
is-
of your basement.
This is a bar that we made out of the front clip of a Spartan Manor, 1946. We've been collecting and restoring trailers for almost 20 years, and we came across this sinking in a swamp actually past the frame. And we were able to liberate the body off of the frame in the mud, and I brought the parts home not knowing what to do. And Doreen said,
I said the front half would make a great bar in the basement. The back half is a cap that we made for our pickup truck. Most of the stuff is items that we found in vintage travel trailers, either in junkyards or in ones we purchased. People just left the stuff behind.
I have to ask, how did you get started restoring vintage RVs?
oh, that's a great story. Doreen will tell it.
We tent camped, and we were camping up at Fort Wilkins State Park in the UP in Copper Harbor, and the neighbors left their cooler out overnight, and the bear came and drug the cooler to about 2 feet from our tent and scared me half to death. And I said, I can't do this anymore, I can't tent. So then we decided to start looking for trailers, and we didn't want a new one. We both love woodworking, so we wanted one with a wooden interior. So we started looking, and it's like the 70s, the 60s, then we got to the 50s, and the 40s is what we really like. So that's what we have mainly restored, all trailers from the 40s.
So your first trailer was?
A 1948 Spartanette.
I've never seen so many vintage name tags.
We've been collecting for quite a while, and it's probably one of the most extensive, and all of them are either original or restored.
So, Bob, one thing that strikes me, you know, we keep saying Elkhart's the RV capital of the world, but when I look at all these name tags, most of these were made in Michigan. So Michigan, it wasn't just the automobile capital of the world. At one point, it looks like it was the RV capital.
It absolutely was, yes. Not only Detroit, but the whole state.
How many do you think there were?
Possibly 400.
Wow.
Sometime between the beginning in, we'll call it 1920, up until World War II.
So you told us a story about the bear and being in a tent. So obviously you guys have been campers for a long time.
Very long time, yes.
For our entire lives, both of us.
Yes.
How long does it take you to restore one of these like that?
Typically about 9 months. The house car took us 19 months, but most of them are under a year.
Yes. Yeah, the house car, I will say, was a handful.
Now that's the one where you cut off the the motorhome part and added the trailer. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. How many of these do you own?
Right now, what you see here. But at one time, we probably actually owned maybe a dozen.
I've got to ask you, for other people that want to develop this hobby, what's the best way for them to get started? Well, how do they do it?
I would look on the Tin Can Tourist website. That's where most vintage trailers are. But it's an all make and model club, so anyone can join. And they have classifieds
and how-tos, and all the members are very attuned to helping others, you know.
like all campers.
Yes.
Everyone's helpful. If you have an issue, just ask someone.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the biggest challenge somebody has? I would imagine finding them, right?
Finding them isn't the hard part. It is deciding, is it worthy of the restoration? There's much hidden damage.
And do you have the skills for the restoration?
Yes.
Is the biggest issue.
Yes.
Now, if I understand this correctly, you do the work yourself.
Yes.
Most of
Yes.
the work the two of you do.
All
All of it.
of it.
How did you get the skill, the detailed skill that you needed for such a project?
I took vocational woodworking when I was in high school. I registered for the class with my middle name because I was named after my father, and I wasn't able to take the class as a girl, but they didn't kick me out once they found out there was a girl in the class.
What was your father's name?
Dale.
Dale. So you registered as Dale instead of Doreen.
Yes.
So you took woodworking. How about you, Bob? Where did your skills for detail come?
Lifelong. I can remember I was 4 years old and I got my first pocket knife, and I started to whittle.
And your career that you worked at for all those years before you retired?
Crown and Bridge Dental Lab.
Well, I'd say that's pretty detailed work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing this love. We will refer people to Tin Can Tourists.
Yes.
Yes.
And I know people are going to just love this as we did.
Thank you so much for allowing us in your home.
It was fun.
Yes.